Hello, everyone. Listen, thank you for joining us in a 10-minute Bible lesson. We appreciate it. We're in the book of 1 Samuel. And I think last time we saw where the two armies had drawn up lines against each other. That would be the army of Israel and the army of the Philistines. And you know, something else we saw that was pretty exciting in some ways is we saw the famous Goliath appear, the giant. And that was, he just came forward, didn't he? And when he came forward, listen, he called out the armies of Israel. He defied them, the Bible says. Choose a man for yourselves, Goliath said, and let him come down to me. Now let's read in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 10 and 11. It says, "And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together." How would you like that if he called you out? I don't know. I know this happened thousands of years ago. But when I read it, it almost still scares me. I'm thinking that's kind of scary. So it says, when Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now we know what it is to be afraid. All of us have been afraid. But what does it mean when it says, the Bible says they were dismayed? Which is a kind of an interesting word. And the Hebrew word literally means to prostrate, hence to break down, either by violence or by confusion and fear. So can you picture yourself there? I mean, when I'm reading the Bible, I like to make it personal and picture myself there. Can you picture yourself there and think about, well, I wonder what I would do? And so I'm wondering, I kind of thought about this. I thought, what would I do if I was there? Well, I kind of thought this is what I would do. I would find somebody that was standing up that was bigger than me, and I would kind of position myself behind that person. And so he would just kind of cover me completely and nobody would see me. I'm thinking, it was kind of like, hey, listen, if it's out of sight, I'm thinking it's out of mind. You're not going to be able to find me. But anyway, I just thought that would be kind of fun. This story that we're talking about, it's a famous story. You know that it is. And so Goliath, when he came forth, and I'd forgotten about this because I read the Bible. Listen, I try to read the Bible through every year, and I want to encourage you to do that. So if you read 4 chapters a day, 6 days a week, you'll be completely through the whole Bible in less than a year. And I've read it. Listen, I've read it a lot. And I was going to say 100 times, but no, I haven't read it that many. But I read it a lot of times. But I never noticed this, that Goliath, when he came out, he didn't come out just one time. I didn't know. Let me just read about it. That's in verse 16 of 1 Samuel chapter 17. It says, "And the Philistine drew near and presented himself 40 days, morning and evening." Did you know that? I didn't know that. I just never. So what he did 2 times a day for 40 days. Now, David, if you remember that they selected, some of Saul's servants selected David because he could play the harp really well. And when Saul had that depressing spirit, that evil spirit, they asked David to come and play. And when he played, it kind of caused that spirit to go away from Saul, and it refreshed him. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that is that David didn't stay with Saul all the time. The Bible says that occasionally he went back home. And when he went back home, he started taking care of his father's sheep. And I don't know if you knew that. So I said that because David right now, he's at home right now. And so this is in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 17 and 18. And this is what David's father said to him. "Then Jesse said to his son David, Take now for your brothers an ephah of this dried grain and these 10 loaves, and run to your brothers at the camp, and carry these 10 cheeses to the captain of their 1,000, and see how your brothers fare, and bring back news of them." So David, he had 7 brothers. 3 of the older brothers had joined Saul in his army. So David's father wanted David to take these supplies so it would be a support to the troops. And then he told him, while you're there, I want you to check on your brothers. Now, that sounds like a father, doesn't it? Of course. He said, check on your brothers, find out how they're doing, and then bring me word back. And so it sounds like a father and a mother would be concerned about their kids. So David did that. And so he left real early in the morning, and he arrived at the camp where the army was. And he arrived at the time when they were going out to fight. And the Bible says this, and they were shouting for the battle. And I thought that was an unusual statement. I kind of wanted to comment on it. What did it mean? And I don't really know for sure what it meant. It just says that the armies were coming out toward each other and they were shouting for the battle. It says shouting for the battle. What was that? I don't know, but in my mind, here's what I think it was. I don't know that this is true. It's just my own speculation. I think they were talking trash to one another. What does that mean, shouting for the battle? So David, what he did, he left the supplies with the supply officer. And he was visiting and talking to his brothers. And while he was doing that, Goliath comes out. He hears Goliath make this challenge. And the Bible says that he was listening to it because it happened to be at that time. And he heard Goliath say that. And then it says that the men of Israel, when they saw him, fled and were dreadfully afraid. Now, I can see being afraid, but the Bible says they were dreadfully afraid. Let me read another verse. This is in verse 25 of the same chapter, 1 Samuel chapter 17. It says, so the men of Israel said, they're speaking to David. So the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? I just want to pause there a minute. They're saying, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this man? Surely he has come up to defy Israel. And it shall be that the man who kills him, the king, will enrich with great riches. They're telling David that. Will give him his daughter and give his father's house exemption from taxes in Israel. So they're telling all of this. And David, it's really funny because David's standing there and he's talking to these men and he asks these men, he says this, he says, now, what will be done? What will happen? What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach of Israel? And then he says this, for who is this uncircumcised Philistine? David's saying this, for who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Well, guess what? Guess who was right there close to him? His older brother, Eliab, and he got mad. Who did he get mad at? He got mad at David. Yeah, his anger arose, and he asked him, he said, why did you come down here? And he said, who did you leave those few sheep that you take care of with? In fact, he accused David of being prideful, and he accused David of being insolent. But here's something that he didn't know. David had the Spirit of the Lord upon him. And that was affecting David. Now, let me read this last verse, and it's in chapter 17, verse 29. And this, after his brother, you might say, chastised him or upbraided him, it says, and David said, what have I done now? Is there not a cause? And when I read that, I was thinking about what David said to his older brother, what have I done now? It almost sounds like that this is not the first time that his brother has gotten on to him and getting on to him again, because he's saying, what have I done now? But I wanted to emphasize this last statement that David made. And here's a great statement for all of us. Now remember, David is filled with the Spirit of the Lord. And David said, is there not a cause? Listen, there's a great cause. Anytime you're in the service of the Lord and in the army of the Lord, you're serving a great cause. And David understood that. And I just think that's really commendable. Now listen, that's all the time that we have. And so we're going to have to end there, but we're going to pick up this story next time and see what happens. And I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. But listen, thank you for tuning in and watching us today. And I hope you'll tune in again, and I hope you have a really good week this week.